Captain Jocks Marlowe stood on the edge of the battlefield, his heart pounding in his chest. The red sun of the planet Vuric 7 was setting, casting long shadows over the ruins of what used to be a peaceful city. The war had turned it into a battlefield of fire and smoke. Explosions echoed in the distance, and the screams of soldiers mixed with the roar of strange alien machines. Jocks wiped the sweat from his forehead. He was a human warrior, one of the best in the United Earth Federation. His armor was scratched and dented, but his eyes burned with fierce determination. Around him, his squad moved carefully, checking for enemies hiding in the ruins. They had one mission: rescue the royal family of the alien kingdom called the Alari. The Alari were tall, graceful beings with shimmering blue skin and eyes that looked like stars. For centuries, they ruled over many planets peacefully. They were losing a brutal war against a violent enemy called the Krather. The Krather wanted to take over the Alari's homeworld and destroy their culture forever. Jocks's squad had managed to break through enemy lines and reach the royal palace. But the place was in ruins. Walls were crumbled, fires burned everywhere, and the air was thick with smoke. As Jocks moved deeper inside, he heard a soft cry. "Help, ... please, ... The voice whispered. Jocks ran toward the sound and found Hertha, princess of the Alari. Princess Alara was lying on the cold floor, her blue skin pale and weak. Blood soaked her dress, and her breathing was shallow. "Princess Alara," Jocks called. Softly, he knelt beside her, checking her wounds. She was badly hurt, but alive. Then he saw something worse, a strange mark on her chest that glowed faintly with a sick green light. "Sir, what is that?" One of his squad members asked nervously. Jocks shook his head. "I don't know, but she needs help now." The medics were far away, and there was no time to wait. Jocks made a quick decision. He pulled out his communicator. "Man, this is Marlowe. I've found the princess. She's alive, but badly hurt. There's a strange mark on her chest. I need immediate medical support." Static answered him. Signal was weak. The war had broken many communication towers. Jocks' voice was urgent. "We can't wait. We must do something here. Anyone have a med kit?" One of his squad, a young soldier named Lee, stepped forward with a small medical bag. He quickly cleaned Ilara's wounds. But the green mark was strange. It seemed like an infection, but not like any disease Jocks had seen. Suddenly, Ilara's breathing slowed. Her eyes flickered weakly, and she whispered, "Help me, ... Jocks's heart tightened. He looked around. There was no cure, no antidote. The princess was dying. "Is there anything we can do?" Lee asked, his hands shaking. Jocks thought hard. The war had taught him one thing sometimes: saving a life required sacrifice. He remembered old legends humans told how blood could heal wounds and connect living beings in ways science could not explain. The Alari blood was very different from human blood. They had many unique cells and strange properties. But Jocks knew that sometimes the impossible was possible. He looked at the princess. Her eyes were full of hope and fear. Jocks made a decision that could change everything. "I'm going to donate my blood," he said quietly. Lee's eyes widened. "If we wait for help, she'll die. This is our only chance." He took off his armored glove, revealing a small device on his wrist that could draw blood safely. The squad cleared space around them. Tense but trusting their leader, Jocks carefully placed the device on Alara's arm, and a thin tube connected him to her. The machine began transferring his blood slowly into her body. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Alara's chest moved slightly. Her eyes opened wider, and the green mark on her skin began to fade. Jocks felt a strange warmth spreading through his body. His head buzzed and his vision blurred, but he stayed strong. Minutes passed like hours. The war raged. On outside, but here, time seemed to stand still. Then Alara took a deep breath and opened her eyes fully. She looked at Jocks with a mix of surprise and gratitude. "You... saved me," she whispered. Jack smiled weakly. "We're not done yet. We have to get you to safety." But even as they prepared to leave, strange things began to happen. Lara's body started glowing softly with a blue light, and Jocks felt a sudden rush of energy, "Captain," Lee said, his voice trembling. "What's happening to her?" Jocks didn't have an answer. The bond between them was growing stronger, something no one had expected. It was as if their lives were now linked by the blood they shared. "Let's move," Jocks ordered, standing up despite the dizziness. "We'll figure this out later." The squad carried the princess carefully through the shattered palace. The enemy was still hunting them, but Jocks' determination gave them strength. As they reached the exit, a massive explosion shook the ground, knocking them off their feet. Jocks shielded Alara with his body, protecting her from falling debris. When the dust settled, Jocks looked around. His squad was shaken but alive. The princess was still breathing, and the strange blue glow in her skin pulsed softly. Jocks' mind raced. What had his blood done to her? What did it mean for the war, for the Alari, and for humanity? One thing was clear. This was only the beginning. The sun had disappeared completely behind the horizon, and the battlefield was now bathed in the cold blue light of twin moons. Captain Jocks Marlowe sat beside Princess Alara, who rested quietly in the makeshift shelter his squad had set up. Ruins around them were silent for the first time since the battle. But inside the shelter, a strange energy buzzed in the air. Alara's body still glowed softly with a pale blue light, as if the blood Jocks had given her had sparked something new inside her. The green mark on her chest, the sign of the alien. Disease had vanished completely. Jocks watched her closely. Her breathing was steady now, and the sharp pain in her eyes had faded. It was a miracle. But what kind of miracle? Captain Lee whispered, stepping forward nervously. "We need a doctor. We can't treat this on our own." Jocks shook his head. "The nearest medical team is miles away, and the enemy controls the main routes. We can't reach them." Alara opened her eyes slowly. Her voice was soft but clear. "I feel... different. The pain is gone. But I do not understand what has happened." Jocks smiled faintly. "You're alive, princess. That's what matters." Her eyes studied his face. "Your blood. It saved me. But how?" "Humans and Alari are very different." Jocks shrugged. "Don't know, but maybe sometimes the impossible happens." Alara nodded, then reached out her hand. "I want to see." Jocks took her hand gently. As their fingers touched, a warm glow spread from Alara's skin into his palm. The light wasn't painful, it was calm, like a gentle wave. The others watched in amazement. Lee whispered, "What is that?" Jocks shook his head again. "I don't know, but it's real." Suddenly the shelter's small communication device crackled to life. "Captain Marlowe, this is Commander Rillis," a voice said through the static. "We have detected unusual readings from your location. Port status." Jocks grabbed the communicator. "Commander, the princess is alive. But something strange is happening. Her body is glowing, and she seems to be recovering fast." The commander said, "Hold your position. Medical support is on its way." Jocks ended the call and looked at Alara. "Help is coming, princess.
Ow.
But until then, we need to understand what's happening." Alara closed her eyes and took a deep breath. "I feel power inside me. It is not like anything I know." Jocks leaned forward. "Do you feel stronger?" "Yes. But it is not just strength. It is like my body and mind are connected to something bigger." Before Jocks could ask more, a sharp noise came from outside, the sound of footsteps and distant shouting. "Enemy patrol," Lee whispered urgently. "They found us." Jocks stood up quickly. "We have to move." "Alara, are you ready?" The princess nodded, rising slowly. The blue glow was now brighter, almost like a shield around her. The squad moved swiftly but carefully through the ruins. Jock stayed close to Alara, ready to defend her with his life. As they moved, Jock noticed the changes in Alara were growing. Her steps were lighter, and her eyes shone with a new confidence. Strange power seemed to protect her from harm. Suddenly, a group of Krather warriors appeared from the shadows, blocking their path. Their dark armor was heavy, and their weapons crackled with deadly energy. "Stop! Surrender the princess!" the leader shouted. Jax didn't hesitate. He raised his weapon and shouted back, "We will never surrender." The battle was fierce. Jax's squad fought bravely, but the Krather were strong and well-trained. Yet Alara moved with a grace and power none had seen before. She seemed to control the energy around her, sending bursts of light that knocked enemies back without harming them. Jax watched in awe as the princess fought not as a weak victim, but as a warrior. She moved like a beam of light cutting through darkness. The Krather leader growled, realizing they were losing. He signaled his troops to retreat. As the enemy fled, Jax helped Alara steady herself. That was incredible. Where did that power come from? Alara looked surprised. "I do not know, but I feel it inside me, like your blood unlocked something." Mox nodded slowly. "Maybe your body is changing because of the blood bond." Back in the shelter, the medics finally arrived. They were cautious at first, unsure what to expect. But when they saw Alara's condition, they were amazed. Dr. Han, the lead medic, examined her carefully. "This is unlike anything I've seen. The princess's healing rate is off the charts. Her cells are regenerating at an impossible speed." Asked, "Is it safe?" Dr. Han looked thoughtful. "We don't know yet. This blood bond seems to be creating a new biological state, part human, part Alari. It could be the key to fighting the disease, or it could be something else entirely." Alara's eyes met Jax's. "What will happen to me now?" Jax placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We'll find out together." Over the next few days, Jax stayed by Alara's side as the medic studied her. The strange glow faded and returned at different times, like a heartbeat of energy. Alara's strength grew, and with it, her control of the power inside her. She learned to focus the energy to heal minor wounds and to protect herself from harm. The bond between her and Jax seemed to deepen, connecting their thoughts and feelings in ways they couldn't explain. One night as they rested, Alara spoke quietly. "Captain, your blood saved my life. But I feel our connection is more than healing. I think it is a new beginning." Jax smiled. "I believe that too. We might be the first step toward a future where humans and Alari stand together." Suddenly, alarms blared across the camp. The medical team rushed to their posts. "Enemy ships detected," Dr. Han said urgently. "They're coming to capture the princess." Jax stood, ready for battle again. "We won't let them take her." Alara's eyes flashed with determination. "Together, we are stronger than they know." As the enemy ships landed nearby, Jax and Alara prepared to face their next challenge. The miracle of her healing was only the start. What followed would test their bond and change the fate of the galaxy forever. The sky above the camp was dark, filled with stars blinking silently. But beneath that calm surface, a storm was building, one more dangerous than any battle Jax Marlowe had faced before. The enemy ships had landed on the outskirts of the camp. Krather soldiers, fierce and ruthless, spread out quickly. Moving to capture Princess Alara, the humans and Alari medics scrambled to prepare for the attack. Jax stood near Alara, ready to protect her at all costs. Alara's body still glowed, faintly, her new power simmering under her skin like a quiet fire. She looked at Jax, her eyes steady and strong. "They want to take me, Captain, but they will not succeed." Jax nodded, gripping his weapon tightly. "We fight together. No one will take you." Suddenly, a loud explosion rocked the camp. Krather's squad had breached the outer defenses. The battle had begun. Jax moved swiftly, leading his squad to block the enemy. The air filled with the sound of gunfire and alien screams. But amid the chaos, Alara was different. She didn't run or hide. She stood tall, her body glowing brighter. With a focused breath, Alara raised her hands outwards, pushing the enemy soldiers back. Some Krather fell to the ground, stunned but unharmed. The glow acted like a shield, protecting her and her allies. Jax watched in amazement. Your power. It's a weapon and a shield. Alara nodded. It is part of me now. Your blood gave me the strength. The battle raged for what felt like hours. Krather forces pressed hard, determined to capture the princess. But every time they tried to close in, Alara's power pushed them away. Jax fought beside her, covering her back and inspiring his squad. They moved like one force, human and Alari united. But in the midst of the fighting, Jax felt a strange sensation. A tightness in his chest, a whisper in his mind. It was as if the bond between him and Alara was more than just blooded, was a connection that reached deep inside him. Suddenly, his vision blurred. For a moment, he saw through Alara's eyes the pain she felt, the hope, the fear. It was overwhelming. Jax stumbled, but kept fighting. He knew this bond was both a gift and a challenge. After the Krather forces finally retreated, the camp was silent but tense. The cost had been high. Several soldiers were injured and the camp's defenses were weakened. Jax helped Alara sit down. We can't keep fighting like this forever. Alara looked thoughtful. There is something else, Captain. I feel a presence, shadow from the past. The disease I had is connected to an ancient enemy. They are watching us. Jax frowned. What do you mean? Alara closed her eyes. Long ago, my people fought a hidden enemy, one that used sickness as a weapon. They were thought defeated. But I fear they are not gone. They want to capture me because of the power inside me. Jax's jaw tightened. Then we need to find out more. If this enemy is behind the disease, they may be planning something worse. No. The medics gathered, and Dr. Hahn spoke up. The blood bond is changing both of you. Jax, you are showing signs of increased strength and faster healing. But there may be risks we don't understand. Jax looked at his hands, flexing them slowly. Felt stronger, faster, but also strange, like a storm was brewing inside. Alara placed a hand on his arm. We must control this power. If we fail, it could destroy us. Jax nodded. Then we train. Together. Over the next days, Jax and Alara worked to understand the bond. They practiced controlling the energy, the glowing light that flowed between them. Jax learned to focus it into bursts of strength, while Alara practiced using it to heal and protect. Their connection deepened. They could sense each other's thoughts and feelings without words. It was strange, but comforting. But one night, as the camp slept, a shadow moved in the darkness. A figure cloaked in black slipped through the guards, moving silently toward Alara's tent. It was the ancient enemy, known only in whispers as the Shadowburna, a secret force that had once nearly destroyed the Alari people. The figure reached out to touch Alara, but a sudden pulse of energy burst from her body, throwing the attacker back. Jax woke with a start, sensing the danger, grabbed his weapon and ran outside. Who's there? He shouted. The Shadowborn vanished into the night, leaving behind a chilling message, a symbol burned into the ground near Alara's tent. It was a mark of the old war, a warning that the past was not finished. Alara looked at the symbol, her face pale but determined. They have returned, and they want what is inside me. Jax stood beside her. Then we prepare. We fight together. The bond between human and Alari was no longer just a miracle, it was a weapon against the darkness coming back to the galaxy. But neither of them knew what the Shadowborn planned next. What they did know was this. The war was far from over. The night was quiet, but the tension in the camp was thick. Captain Jax Marlowe stood beside Princess Alara, both watching the distant stars. The symbol left by the Shadowborn burned quietly in the earth, a warning that the old enemy was awakening. Again, Alara's glow had become stronger and more steady over the days. The bond between her and Jax was no longer just physical, it had grown into something deeper, almost like a shared soul. But with this new strength came new questions. What was the true power inside them? And why was the Shadowborn so desperate? To find it, Alara broke the silence. Captain, I have been studying the ancient texts of my people. There is a prophecy, one that speaks of a hybrid savior one, who will carry the blood of two worlds and bring peace to the fractured galaxy. Jox's eyes narrowed. A hybrid savior? You mean us? Alara nodded. Yes, the bond between human and Alari blood is the key. Together, we might be the ones the prophecy speaks of. Jox laughed softly, shaking his head. Know about being a savior. I'm just a soldier, Alara smiled gently. Sometimes even the simplest soldier can change the fate of worlds. Their conversation was interrupted by Dr. Han, who approached with urgency. Captain, Princess, you need to see this. They followed Dr. Han to the medical tent, where a group of scientists were gathered around a glowing holographic map of the galaxy. Points of light flickered, showing locations of recent battles, strange energy readings, and unknown phenomena. This, Dr. Han explained, is the pattern we've discovered. Wherever your blood bond is felt, there are signs of ancient power awakening. The Shadowborn's influence is growing. Jox frowned. What does it mean? It means, Alara said quietly, that the Shadowborn are searching for others. Like us. They want to capture or destroy anyone who shares this bloodline. Jox clenched his fists. Then we have to find them first, Alara nodded. But we cannot do this alone. We need allies, humans, Alari, and others who believe in peace. The days that followed were filled with preparation. Jox and Alara sent messages across the galaxy, calling for support. Some responded with hope, others with fear. Many were skeptical, could this human and alien bond really change the war? One by one, warriors and diplomats arrived, drawn by the legend of the hybrid savior. Among them were Alara's trusted advisors, brave human soldiers, even former enemies willing to fight for a better future. Jox watched as the camp transformed. What was once a small rescue mission became a gathering of hope, force ready to challenge the darkness. But the Shadowborn were not idle. One evening, while Jox trained with the new recruits, a scout rushed in with urgent news. Sir, a Shadowborn strike team is moving toward the outer colonies. They plan to capture more hybrids. Jox's heart pounded. Can't let them take anyone else. Alara stepped forward, her glow bright and steady. Then we move now. We must protect the bloodline. The battle to defend the outer colonies was fierce. The Shadowborn soldiers were ruthless, using weapons that twisted the mind and body. But the hybrid force fought with a strength born of unity and hope. Alara led the charge, her powers weaving light and energy that shielded her allies and struck down enemies. Jox fought beside her, his bond with the princess giving him strength beyond normal human limits. The battle turned when Jox felt the familiar connection surge through him. He closed his eyes and focused, drawing on the bond's power. A wave of energy burst from him, knocking back the Shadowborn and breaking their formation. Victory was hard-won, but it was theirs. After the battle, as they gathered to rest, Alara spoke. This is only the beginning. The bloodline's legacy is waking. We must prepare for what comes next. Jox looked at her, admiration in his eyes. Together we can face anything. As they stood beneath the stars, a new hope filled the galaxy. The hybrid savior was no longer just a prophecy, it was real. And with it came the chance for peace. But deep in the shadows, the true enemy watched and waited, planning its next move. The stars stretched endlessly across the night sky. But for Captain Jox, Marlowe, and Princess Alara, sleep was a distant memory. The last battle had been won, but a greater storm was approaching. Deep within the ruins of an ancient fortress, the Shadowborn gathered their forces. Their leader, a dark figure cloaked in shadows, spoke in a voice like thunder. The hybrids are stronger than we expected, the Shadowborn Lord said, but they carry a power we cannot allow to grow. We will strike at their heart and end this bloodline once and for all. Far away in the Alliance camp, Jox and Alara prepared for the inevitable confrontation. Their bond had grown stronger with every challenge, and with it, their powers. Alara's glow was brighter than ever, pulsing with light and energy. Jox felt the strength coursing through him, the blood bond uniting their very souls. We can end this tonight, Alara said, determination shining in her eyes. But we must face the Shadowborn together. Jox nodded. We fight as one. As their allies gathered, the hybrid force moved toward the ancient fortress. The air was thick with tension and the promise of battle. When they reached the fortress, gates the Shadowborn were waiting. Dark warriors filled the walls and towers, their weapons glowing with dark energy. The battle erupted like a storm. Jox led the charge, his weapon blazing with power. Alara's light sword shielding their forces and striking down enemies with beams of pure energy, but the Shadowborn were relentless. They fought with hatred and skill, pushing the hybrid force back step by step in the heart of the fortress. Jox and Alara faced the Shadowborn Lord. His dark aura twisted the air, his power a terrifying shadow over them. You cannot win. The Shadowborn Lord snarled. Your blood is weak. The darkness will consume you. Alara stepped forward, her light shining like a beacon. Our blood is the future. It carries hope and unity. Jox reached for her hand, their bond glowing. Between them, together, they unleashed a wave of energy so bright it burned through the darkness. The Shadowborn Lord screamed as the light overwhelmed him, his dark form dissolving into nothingness. With his defeat, the Shadowborn army faltered and fled. Fortress was theirs. As dawn broke over the battlefield, Jox and Alara stood side by side.
Oh.
The war was over not because they had destroyed their enemies, but because they had united two worlds. Alara smiled. Your blood saved me once. Now, together, we save the galaxy. Jox returned her smile. This is just the beginning. The bond they shared was more than survival, it was a promise that no matter what darkness came, light and hope would always endure.